Right, folks, Celtic are into the semi-finals of the Premier Sports Cup after a 3-0 home win over Raith Rovers. I am at Celtic Park. You wouldn't know it looking at me. I'm just glad you can actually see me because it is quite dark here.
I think
John,
you're at your shed at the bottom of the garden, Hamish. This is all a con.
yeah, no, I can absolutely assure you that I saw that game. I'm not going to remember much about it, John, and we're probably not going to be around for too long tonight because I'll get your thoughts, but feels like a kind of game you tick off. We did the business and we move on.
Aye, it's routine. It's good to be routine after Sunday, and I don't think Sunday was ever going to be routine, but tonight was a game you just want to get the goals in, move on, get some minutes into some players off the bench, with one notable exception, and kind of move on to Dundee United on Sunday. What was the game like? I thought the atmosphere was pretty good in the first half, specifically.
I was impressed by the crowd. I was expecting 15-20 tonight, just with the way the weekend went and the fact there's so many big games at home coming up over the next period. I'm always awful, as you know, at kind of estimating crowds being at the game, but I would say high 20s, maybe even 30,000 there tonight. A
lot of noise as well. The Green Brigade kind of come into their own with the reduced attendance and crowds I've found over the years.
I need to say this now because I'll forget later on. The players usually do the lap of honour after the game, and they were actually going to go off tonight without doing the lap of honour. And a certain Mr. Joe Hart told them all to get round that park. So he's behaving like a captain.
I like that.
He also had an interesting moment, not entirely surprising, but for people who have wondered whether the Celtic ball boys are instructed to move the ball onto the park really quickly, they absolutely are, because Joe Hart came over at the start of the second half right in front of us, clapped to support and then gave a wee nod to the ball boys, just to let them know, get the ball out to me quickly. So that myth has been absolutely confirmed. Well, it's not a myth, it's the truth.
Yeah, interesting comment here. If someone missed the match, was wondering who played up front once Ayeti was subbed. So it's a good introduction to talk about Jota, because he was clearly the standout player, especially in that first half. He tired a little bit, but he was the man who was put through the middle when Ayeti went off, but started the game on the left wing, and he really kind of brought Celtic to life in that first half.
He did. He was excellent. Do you think he's a left winger though, or do you think he's a right winger?
I think I like him on that left-hand side. I thought he was tearing Raith apart. I mean, I'm not particularly against him being on the right or left. It's just I could see him playing either, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He's the kind of winger who, he's not positionally exploiting players. He's kind of using his skill and his pace and his intelligence to exploit players. So I don't think it really matters which side he would play on.
His balance is brilliant. His first touch is brilliant. There was a moment in the second half, and the second half was pretty ponderous. I thought we'd won the game. I can totally understand why, but he was the one player who seemed to have that first touch tonight that to get away from the Raith players. His close control is brilliant. As I say, his balance is second to none. I think he's an absolute star in the making. He just needs to improve his final ball. There was a few times today when he got into great areas and the ball was a little bit too long. He wasn't the only guy tonight, because there was a few, and we could probably had a few more goals if the ball had been better, but he's a joy to watch. His talent is brilliant, and you're looking at better opponents we'll face in the coming weeks. A week tonight, Leverkusen come here, and he's probably going to be the main attacking threat at the moment in the absence of Kyogo.
Yeah, I would say so, but it's promising as well, because I think he's a player who probably flourishes in spaces, and I think next week will be a toe-to-toe battle against Leverkusen, and they'll leave as much space as they look to exploit, I would imagine. So I think that's, we saw that against Betis last week, is that Jota kind of thrives in that environment. So I'm hopeful that he can kind of step up against a better quality of opposition. A couple of other players I want to shout out. I thought Liam Scales was really good when he came on. I thought he looked very confident on the ball. Very
always
composed.
Wanted the ball, John. He always wanted the ball.
Yeah. And that's a really good sign. But, sometimes when a player makes his debut and they're always wanting the ball, they're always trying too hard, they can look a little bit wild with it. And I thought he just looked really composed tonight and just looked very comfortable, immediately within this group of players, which I thought was a good sign. Obviously, very early doors. We're playing against, a tired Raith Rovers team by that point. But again, also think he looks physically the part. I mean, he's a big lad,
Yeah.
and I think that bodes well. And I think, you know, that might bode well for him playing as a centre half in the future if we need him to. But he looks comfortable on that left hand side, kind of coming into the middle into a kind of almost defensive midfield role, as we've seen from Andrew's fullback. So I was happy with the kind of half an hour we got from him.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that leapt out to me watching Liam Scales was he wanted the ball at every opportunity. And I'm not talking in the Raith half, I'm talking, 15, 20 yards from his own goal. He was getting the ball off Joe Hart, he was moving the ball, he was playing so centrally, which is obviously something Ange does. But I remember when I kind of got that insight on Scales, can't remember who it was, but it was pointed out by one of the guys that this is something he'll be really good at because he has played centrally in the past, both in defence, and I think he's played centre mid in the past as well. So he's a player who's really comfortable in the ball, a big guy, and the perfect day to make a debut. You're 3-0 up at home to Raith Rovers, half empty Celtic Park. It's a perfect kind of initiation. So delighted with that. I know you've got one other guy you want to pick out. It wasn't a particularly tough night for him tonight, but I just love Cameron Carter-Vickers. I just think he's...
Yeah.
I think he's the reassuring presence that we've longed for so long. Starfelt, I'm still holding out hope that he'll come good, but he's quite, and he wasn't awful tonight, but he's quite kind of panicky at times. Carter-Vickers is just so reassured. Again, he was up against Raith Rovers. We'll find out more a week tonight. We'll find out more on Sunday against Dundee United, but he looks so calm. He's actually better in possession than he's given credit for. I think he moves the ball quite well and very rarely gives a sloppy pass away. His passing's always quite crisp and it's always weighted perfectly. And defending, as I say, he looks really assured. So I really like him and I'm really liking Joe Hart at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Carter-Vickers is the definition of being an absolute unit. I think I've been waiting a long time to say that about a Celtic player. But he's just got that, he's got a stocky frame, but he's not, he's not rough around the edges. He looks pretty composed on the ball. As you say, he'll come up against tougher tests, but I thought even against Livingston at the weekend, I thought he was one of our better players of the day. I agreed with you. I saw you say that in one of those videos.
Do you want to repeat that, John? You what with me? You agreed with me?
Yeah, I agreed with you. Andrew just said in the chat, you can see Carter-Vickers from space. I quite like that description. As I say, yeah, he's got a kind of profile that you immediately recognise. He doesn't look like any other player on the field. And I think we need that physicality in the team, and I'm happy to see more of him in that regard. Abada, what did you think of him? He had a mixed night, and he was in the right place at the right time for his goal, but I thought he was kind of snatching at stuff on that right flank. What did you make of him?
One thing to point out, he was getting pressed every single time the ball went out. The Raith left back was running right to him. I don't think he's a great player, but he's a player who'll score a lot of goals and he'll assist a lot of goals. And by that very logic, that makes him a good player. But if you get what I mean, I actually don't think in terms of dribbling ability he's particularly special. I think Jota's a far more talented player, but Abada will probably score double the amount of goals as Jota.
Well, what I'd say is I think. I get what you're saying in terms of natural skill and talent, but I think Abada's going to be a player who has brilliant in-box awareness. I mean, you saw that even for his goal.
Yeah.
I mean, he has that knack that you really want in an attacking player to be in the right place at the right time. It's not
a good header as well.
A good header.
Get his neck into it.
It's not an easy thing to do, to be in those positions, and I think him coming in off the right wing and having that skillful presence of Jota on the left, having the movement at Kyogo, I think is going to be really exciting. And I think that 3-man attack is going to be electric when they're all fit and they're all ready to go. I'm happy with the way that's development. Ayeti kind of struggled to get him in the game again. His movement, but we just move on from that, I think. But I think we need to come on to the elephant in the room a bit in terms of Giakoumakis not getting his debut. I heard someone on Twitter sent me a message saying that he wasn't on the bench in the second half. He kind of might have picked up an injury or some sort of problem in the warm-up. Did you see him on the bench? Were you in that area of the stadium that you can make that out?
No, I had my eyes on the no, it's not even the bench anymore, John. It's the main stand. It's the centre of the main stand where the players sit. I had my eyes on that area for basically about 2/3 of the second half, and obviously I didn't spot him at all. Didn't even spot him going for a warm-up or anything.
I'm going to assume that there was some sort of issue there rather than that being a Ange Postecoglou choice, because he basically said, both in his pre-match press conference and in his interviews with the written press, that Giakoumakis was going to be involved in some manner. He was named in the match squad. I was very surprised not to see him. I'm not getting too frightened by it. I mean, there's a lot of hysteria around this player at the moment, so I don't really want to amplify that too much, but what I'd say is I'm going to assume that wasn't Ange's choice, that we've never seen him tonight, so we'll just need to wait and see and hope for any news and updates on that.
It would have been great to get him some minutes tonight.
Yeah.
I know we said we're going to gloss over Ajeti, and I'm up for that as well. But as I keep saying, a week's time, big game against Bayer Leverkusen, even more so a few days after a big game at Pittodrie, and I'm just not quite convinced Ajeti's offering us enough at the moment. It just feels to me at the moment that Celtic are at a stage where we just need to get through this period. We've lost our two most influential outfielders, for me, by a distance, McGregor and Kyogo. The difference in that team when Kyogo comes back is going to be huge. He was pictured, training yesterday, albeit, isolated training. So I would assume he's still a good bit away, or certainly a few weeks away. But the difference when he comes back into the team, we will see it immediately, because he's an absolutely class player and he just changes the whole way we play. When Kyogo's in the team, and we only saw it for about 5 or 6 games, but every single attack is geared through him. At the moment, it's kind of haphazard. There's not really a focal point to that team at the moment. Ajeti just kind of stands there. If he gets a chance, he'll probably score, or he might score, but he doesn't really get involved in the link-up play. He's certainly not running in behind. Kyogo will totally change that. So I just think Celtic need to get through this period of however many games we've got without him, and basically not let our season go up in flames in the meantime. We just have to keep winning. Sunday, Dundee United's going to be tough. I know they lost, I think, 3-1 tonight. It's still going to be tough. Next Thursday, we'd love to do well in the Europa League, but the following game against Aberdeen's still the even bigger one that week, and we simply have to win these games without Kyogo.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've been kind of quite frustrated with Ajeti. He did well for the third goal, though, I would say. It was him who nicked the ball that allowed us to kind of it was almost a counter-attack in their own half with the Turnbull finish. So he did well for that. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's an unfair comparison, because I think Kyogo's not only a different kind of player, he's just a better player, and everyone knows it. There's no point in hammering home, or I'm not using it as a stick to beat Ajeti with. Kyogo's just a better player, and will be a better team with him in the team. Now I'm just keeping an eye on the draw here, Hamish. I think it's starting imminently.
I was going to say I'm getting deja vu, because I stood at this very spot after the Hearts game, and you told me. In fact, you didn't tell me. I think we just missed the draw. But
yeah,
who just so, because people will be watching this after they know who you fancying.
Well, just bring on Rangers. I mean, I just...
I'm wanting Hibs.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult, I think, regardless of who we get. It's actually a really good semi-final lineup. Hibs went through against United tonight, if you missed it. Rangers also in the semi, and St Johnstone. So that's about as tough a last 4 lineup as you'll get in a cup competition this season. Obviously saw last year how tricky St Johnstone can be in the knockout tournaments, winning a double and becoming the dominant force in Scottish football. Hibs a hand in. I would take Hibs, but why not Rangers? I mean, we're probably going to have to. We're going to have to play them to win the trophy, regardless.
I would just rather we had Kyogo and McGregor back and fully fit and more. I feel like we are the team that. I think you made this point after the derby. We are the team that has more growth in us, and I'd rather we get some of that growth in us before facing them. I think we're destined to face Rangers in the final, but people will probably tell me I'm incorrect. I'm looking at the comments. Come on, you wonderful people, give us a draw. Beat John to it. Yeah, someone's going to just make it up now, aren't they?
I know, and then we'll look foolish. But yeah, no, the fixtures aren't until November 20th and 21st, so it's not as if they're just round the corner. So there's plenty of time for these. I'm presuming that someone said this draw was starting. I don't have a telly on, so I'm just trying to keep an eye open on Twitter here. Any other thoughts about tonight's match before we get there?
Just the point I made at the start, I was pleasantly surprised with the crowd tonight. I was right next to the standing section, and the atmosphere was really good. We sing song for Henrik Larsson at the end, which is probably the the loudest song of the night, if I'm honest. Oh, there was one thing: the disco lights. Right.
Oh, did you get in early, Hamish? Were you raving away?
I left the pub early with my pals Lewis and Gamba to get into the ground nice and early, just to see the disco lights. They get a hard time. The price goes up every single time someone mentions them. It goes up from 2 million to 2.5. It'll be at 20 million by the end of the year. Someone's saying we got St Johnstone. Do we believe, Jay?
Yeah, with St Johnstone in the semi-final of the Scottish League Cup. So that'll be a tough physical battle at Hampden. We know all about St Johnstone. I don't think they're as good a team as last season because they lost a couple of key players at the end of the transfer window. But, you can't, it's undeniable how well they've done in the Cups recently. They literally won a double last year. So that'll be a tough encounter. Perhaps maybe slightly easier than Hibs or Rangers, you would suggest?
I would have preferred Hibs probably just because they would Hibs it at Hampden. But St Johnstone have got Effie Ambrose now as well, so that could add a wee element to the game. But looking forward to that. Just quickly, disco lights, I won't have a bad word said about them. They were excellent tonight. And see, when we finally do qualify for the Champions League, they are going to be absolutely epic because they honestly are amazing. And the stadium was kind of jumping for about 2 minutes tonight at home to Raith. So imagine when Real Madrid come visiting.
Was there any player unveilings in the centre circle like Vakun Bayo all those years ago?
They did that daft thing with the huddle though, where they put the big green lights. It's kind of cool and it's kind of naff as well. But next Thursday, even against Leverkusen, if they've got that, the place is going to be rocking.
Yep, I think I'm at that game, so that'll be exciting. Another thing about. Obviously, Rangers have got Hibs then if we've got St Johnstone, so potential green and white final. You'd hope they'd go out before the final. I'd rather play Hibs in a final than Rangers, so hopefully, I think Hibs can give Rangers a good game at Hampden.
I just think we're destined for a Celtic Rangers Cup final, and it could, that would be 2 games in December. It could be the making of this team. Let's hope so. Just final word in tonight. You have to win a quarter final to win the cup. So we did the business tonight, John, and I'm delighted. We'll round it off there, mate, so I can get up the road.
I think so. Dundee United on Sunday. Hopefully another comfortable performance, like as you say, the big games against the Germans next week. You had a good night though, it sounds like.
Yeah, after a year of not seeing Celtic, it's just you take any game you can get, and I feel like a bit of the feel good factor that we had in that amazing run of home games has just dissipated a little bit. But I don't feel it's far away. I think if we turn up on, even on Sunday against Dundee United and score a few, it could be back. Or certainly if we were to get a result a week today against Leverkusen, it would be back. But we've not got a problem here at Celtic Park. We've never had a problem here at Celtic Park under Ange. It's those away games that are the worry. And no matter what happens, even if we beat Leverkusen next Thursday, I'd still be concerned about following Sunday against Aberdeen. So, yeah.
Huge week coming up. Cheers. Thanks for speaking to me tonight, Hamish. That was good of you to join me from your shed in the bottom of the garden.
You're more than welcome, John. I think we're back tomorrow. We'll have some sort of a video. We're going to have a reaction on Sunday as well, where I'll be in person. I think with Ewan and Stevie. So we'll see how that goes. Brilliant. We'll round it off here. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you've not done it yet. It would be massively appreciated, and we'll speak to you very soon.